Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another episode of Foxborough Central. My name is Bob Hickey. I am your host, and thank you for taking a little bit of time to join with me and my guests as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. And one of the most recent additions to our town hall structure is Mary Beth Bernard. Mary Beth, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
And you are joining, of course, our other newest addition, who's now not so new, but still very new. Bill Kagan. Bill, great to have you with us.
Good to see you, Bob.
Bill Kagan is, of course, the Foxborough town manager, and Mary Beth is the assistant town manager. Is that the official title?
That is.
Fantastic. And we're going to talk today about Town Hall. And Town Hall is a subject that everybody knows about. Most people think they know what the issues are, but I suspect there's probably a little more laying beneath the eaves of the old Town Hall than what we think we know. So I'd love to delve into that. But first, Bill, if we could meet Mary Beth. Am I allowed to go by Mary Beth, or do I have to say Ms. Bernard? Or?
No, Mary Beth is fine.
Tell us a little bit about who Mary Beth is.
Well, go ahead.
You're Mary Beth.
Yes, I'm a former HR director in the town of Westwood for 11 years. Prior to that, I worked for Babson College. I managed corporate MBA programs. So we did a lot of the new blended learning, fast track stuff. And prior to that, I was in the private sector in personnel. So my career has brought me through a lot of interesting pathways, and I feel Foxborough, I was thrilled for this opportunity. I feel like, a blend of academia, private sector, public sector. It was an exciting fit for me, and to have the opportunity to work with Bill Keegan. And the community of Foxborough, to me, is very, very interesting. I love the people that I've met so far. I like the nice village feel of it, but then you have the excitement of an NFL franchise. So I feel like my skill set will work well here. There was a need for human resources. There was a vacancy in the human resource department. Bill created this position of assistant town manager, but I'd say 50% of my job is still human resources, which is what I did for the past 11 years in Westwood. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Sounds like you bring a skill set that is needed, and it does meet the role of the human resources, which is what the voters had approved at a previous town meeting, but at the same time expands it to be more functional for what you need as far as doing your job.
Well, it really was, Mary Beth offers a unique set of skills, which was really what we needed. I mean, I can look at the job today and say that human resources is a very, very important piece of that. But by the same token, I needed somebody who wanted to expand into other areas of administration, support this office in other areas of obviously the unique aspects of what we do. And Mary Beth had just recently had graduated from the Suffolk Executive Training Program and actually passed with highest honors, so congratulations on that. And actually was looking for an opportunity to go beyond the HR management side. So it was actually just a good fit. And I actually had a great process. We had over 100 applicants for the position. I narrowed it down to ultimately to four terrific finalists, but in the end, Mary Beth did a nice job and really met the needs of what we were looking for.
Well, congratulations and welcome
Thank
to
you.
Foxborough. Then
Thank you very
I'm
much.
sure you've been told that before, but I'll say it on behalf of us here at Foxborough Central.
Thank you very much.
So Mary Beth and Bill, Town Hall, lovely place. I'm sure we all enjoy going to work every day, wherever we go to work. And your Town Hall is under a bit of duress right now. It seems like there's roof issues, seems like there's some water issues that we know about, but coming into the 2015 cycle of town meetings and budgets and forward planning, where do you see our town hall at? And let's be very clear, I'm that grumpy columnist that termed the Taj Town Hall, and let's also be very clear that at the last town meeting I actually voted in favor of going forward with funding the architectural reviews. So as a citizen and a taxpayer, I recognize that something definitely needs to be done. However, I thought that maybe it was a little rushed. It seems as though, by the formation of your committee, and you did a wonderful job, and I'll toot the horn if you don't mind.
Well, thank you.
Toot the horn, not that I'll do it very often, but I'll do it right now. The committee that you put together, I don't even remember what the name of it is, but the Town Hall...
The working group.
Town Hall Working Group, came to some pretty significant conclusions,
Yes.
and were able to validate those with research reasoning and some pretty strong analysis that I found to be not only compelling but also convincing.
Well, I think
That's my launching point.
Well,
Here
that's
we go.
well, I appreciate you saying all that, Bob, and it was interesting to me when I first came on to this issue that it seemed to me there wasn't actually a process that really allowed everybody to debate the really interesting aspects of the building. There was a lot of discussion about just launching into a certain approach, but I didn't feel comfortable doing that until we actually fully vetted all the issues. And actually just recently coming off a project in Dedham where we looked at a very similar type of situation. It was helpful for me to actually take that same experience and use it here in Foxborough. And what we did was I formed a group of folks that were on both sides of the issue, so folks that really had different opinions about how we should address the concerns. And the building, and it was great because we had people from all aspects of building and construction, and then folks that really said to me in the beginning that they felt that renovation was the way to go. And which was fine for me because I didn't know which way it was to go. For me, I was the new guy on the block, and I wanted to make sure that whatever direction we took was something that had been fully supported. In the end, virtually all the members of the committee concluded that going to a new construction scenario was the best way to address it. And that's what's being recommended to town meeting in the fall for plan design. So we're looking to acquire the funding so we can go forward with an architect and then start designing a new building. We even looked at different locations. We wanted to make sure that we were in the right place.
One of which was the old auditorium building up at Chestnut Green.
Absolutely. We looked at that, and we looked at a lot of different locations. I think we're 8 or 9 different locations throughout town. And we narrowed it down to really the 2 fundamental ones, which was the existing town hall site as well as the location behind the public safety building. And we concluded that that it was better to stay at town hall, primarily because there's an historic connection of the community towards that location. And we didn't want to create another level of controversy that was just unnecessary at this point. We all recognize that if the community feels strongly about maintaining that location, then so be it. I know that in sometimes you can actually do an economic analysis and the numbers might work in a certain direction, but in the end, there's emotional ties to certain locations, and I think this is what happened here in this particular case. So I was perfectly willing to go in that direction and stay there. So we're going to, the goal is to build a new building behind the existing building. We'd like to stay in the existing building during construction so we don't have to relocate. Sure. Which will, again, keep the cost down. At the same time, also cause less disruption to the organization and the operations. So that's our goal. We've got a little bit of work ahead of us. We believe that if we can get the funding at town meeting in November, that we'll go to a design process which will ultimately get us to a town meeting, we think in September, October of next year, where we can actually then ask for the funding for construction.
Okay, so that's the timeline we're looking at. Start now, and then about a year out, we'll be ready to present something to the voters.
Exactly.
So about how much, not that the warrant article has been written yet, but about how much does it look like the architectural review is going to be?
We're in the process right now, Bob. I'm actually meeting this afternoon to interview 4 finalists for the architectural firm, and then we will then negotiate a price as to where that price should be. We think it's somewhere in the mid $500,000 range. Could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less, depending upon what the ultimate number comes out. Our goal is to then be somewhere in the order of about 7.2 in terms of construction price. That's what we're shooting for. We don't, obviously, there's a lot of different factors that go into that. Obviously, construction materials can go up and down. If interest rates stay where they are, certainly that will help keep the cost down as well. So we're very cognizant of all those concerns, and most importantly, we're cognizant of the fact that the taxpayers don't want to have to pay more for this project than they have to, and we're very respectful of that. So that's the direction we want to go.
So, and another piece of that is one of the criticisms is that the numbers are a little too fuzzy, a little too open-ended. So by going about it this way, you're going to be able to come to town meeting in November with a hard, this is what it is going to cost, not this is what we think it's going to cost.
Exactly. And it's interesting because you get hit on both sides of that approach, because if you come with a sure number, then folks say, well, now you're committed to the project. Well, that's true. I mean, but I think at this point we really have to be committed to the project.
Well, I think we have to commit to something.
Yeah.
I think the message that has been sent time and again is create a direction, and we'll either support it or we won't support it, but it can't be so many options. And town meeting is one of those opportunities to vote on something. Is probably not the best opportunity to learn from something new. So that's why it's great that you took the time to come out here to Foxborough Central, and I'm sure with your program, because you're now one of our family of volunteers here at Cable Access with your show.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually taped last week a session where we had Bill Euchner and Ken Elovitz from the committee that served on the committee throughout the process. And it was interesting because both Ken and Bill came from different perspectives on that, and they both are working off the same.
Now, Bill's been longtime chairman of our municipal planning committee and permanent building committee. I'm sorry, I get the. I'm an ancient selectman, so I forget all the terms, but you know where I'm going. And then Ken came to us where?
And Ken was actually a member of the ad hoc committee. Okay. At one point, and it still is, I believe. But
and that is chaired loosely by Dick Haydecker.
That's correct.
Local architect.
That's correct. That's right.
And Bill, of course, is also employed with our school system. He's our school finance
business administrator. Yeah.
So there's many different perspectives coming into play here, and I suppose you would call it a wealth of talent from different different places pulled together. So the conclusion is, at a high level, to replace, not refurbish.
That's correct. That's correct. We still have one member of the committee who's still very strongly are compelled to go in the renovation direction, but the remaining members of the committee have all voted in that direction of going to a new building.
Now, I think one of the advantages of being a small town, and I know Westwood's a little bit larger, but it's still conceptually the same, is that is there a local paper in Westwood?
Not any longer. It's like a shared community paper.
Well, then we have it over Westwood, folks, here in Foxborough.
We do.
We have our own publication, the Foxborough Reporter, and there's been a lot of information presented in the Reporter, which is an excellent source, and people should get theirs for only $1 or cheaper by subscription, shameless plug. But there is seriously a wealth of information in there every week from both pro and con. But it's the way that we as a community get educated, in addition to cable and in addition to other means. But that is the primary source that we learn. And so by taking the time, as you have, to create the committee, have the divergent views, and create a consensus, if it's not unanimous, but still it's a consensus as to what to do, how to do it, and what the next step is. I think that's what we as voters were looking for. So we really do appreciate that leadership.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's actually been helpful for all of us to actually go through this process, because it's, and I have to give credit where credit is due here, that some of the folks on our committee who are actually controversial in terms of their positions sometimes actually was helpful to us, because we actually understood the issues a lot better, and it took us we took a step back sometimes to really rethink our positions to make sure that we were doing the right thing at the time. So I think even the debate has been really healthy for all of us, and I think that's really been good for the process.
So if there's three key things or three key reasons why replacement is better than refurbishing, what would they be?
Well, first of all, there really is, normally when you want to refurbish a building, there's usually a redeeming quality to it. And as we go through that building, there are so many different reasons why there aren't many redeeming values left. First of all, there's nothing in the materials. So, for instance, there's no marble, there's no granite, there's no mahogany finishes in the building that you would normally save in doing a refurbishing type of project. The second thing is that we've had water problems in the past in the basement, which is another concern that we want to try and address once and for all. And then also there was the old gun range, which was actually in the basement at the time when it was a police department, which also has led into the roof.
Yes.
So those are all really pretty compelling reasons why you want to take the building down. And then on top of that, when we said, well, if you just took the building down and you did a full gut renovation type of approach, then what are you really left with? And then you're left with some of the limiting factors of the existing foundation, which don't always lend itself to the kind of facilities that we need in today's environment. So we're looking at the really compelling reason is that you can build a building today with a much more efficient, energy efficient materials. You can build a building that's efficient for what we need the building for today. Don't forget this building was built almost 50 years ago, when things weren't electronically based, things weren't wired the way they were supposed to be wired for today. And then also the space, you can actually create the space that's built in for today's office environment. So it's really, we just think all in all, it's just a better approach to take at this point.
Okay. Well, with that, and when we went through the similar exercise 10 years ago, well, it seemed like it was many years before that, and it was, when we were working to move the police department out of the basement into the new public safety building, had gone through a number of design reviews and a number of debates, arguments, locations. I think many of us who were around back then remember the different locations and the pros and the cons of each. And the decision was made to put it up at the state hospital. Why would we choose to keep the town hall where it is now, as opposed to moving it up to what some would argue is going to be the new focal point or the new population base of Foxborough, Chestnut Green?
Well, one of the most compelling reasons I heard was, and I'm supportive of this, is that if you remove the town hall from the center of town, which is really, the center of town is where we're sitting right now, that it almost gives the impression that we're not supportive, that the community itself, the local government's not being supportive of the downtown area. And I think that's a pretty compelling argument for this community in particular. Folks really here are very tradition-oriented. It's an old New England town feel here, and I think people really want to maintain that. So that's a pretty compelling reason. I mean, and I think if you take a step back and think about that, that's the reason why you'd want to keep your town hall where it is. And a lot of us felt, that it was a good reason to move it down there. But at the end of the day, I think we're all very comfortable with the decision to keep it here.
Okay. So, and Mary Beth, and I'm here, of course, with Mary Beth Bernard, who is our new assistant town manager. Bill Keegan, our not so new, but current town manager. Right. And we are having a great conversation about town hall. Now, when you came on board, you were hired based upon, you beat out 100 other candidates, based upon experience, and this was the right career fit, as were you when you applied several months ago. And at the beginning of the program, you had mentioned that you had gone through a similar project in Dedham, that your experience has been there as far as doing something like this. Can you share a little bit about that and how it would apply to what we're doing now?
Well, it was interesting because we actually looked at the possibility. We were looking to build a new town hall. Actually, we had a need for a new police station, actually, in Dedham, and also a senior center, which we've gone on. I think the argument there was gone on for 25 years to build a new senior center. They don't have a senior center. They have a drop-in center, but they don't have a senior center.
Really?
So it's kind of interesting that a community of that size and that stature has never had a senior center. So
Interesting.
So we we committed a long time ago to try and figure this thing out, and ultimately we did. We did acquire the building next to us, next to where the town hall is currently located, and we're going to renovate that to become a new town hall and a new senior center. It's about 50,000 square feet of space, so it's a very, very large building. And then
So wait a second. You aren't just coming in wanting to build.
No, that's exactly right. Exactly right. This was a case where there was an opportunity where to actually acquire an old building, which is actually an historic building. This building was built in the 1800s. And so,
what kind of a paid government flunky are you by wanting to actually do something different, not just do it the way we always do it?
That's right.
Good for you.
Yeah. So it was very interesting. And it was something that actually I talked about that probably 8 years ago And at that time, it was there wasn't support to do it. But as time goes on, you know, the feelings change, and
But people get educated, people get comfortable.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly
a big
right,
piece of any project is comfort, because
That's right.
it's easy to just say, I want the newest, shiniest, fanciest.
Right.
But do we really need it? Do we have to have it? Is it the best
Right,
fit?
right.
And I think with our town hall, I think we're all at the point where we understand that this cannot go on.
Right.
And
That's right.
it is a long-term problem that demands an immediate solution. And I think
Right.
that is where you and your committee are going forward with bringing a proposal to November. You say there's going to be a November special
November
town meeting?
17th, where there'll be a special town meeting.
You heard it here first, November 17th.
And it's actually, there's about 7 articles on that town meeting warrant. And we hope that this will get the proper debate. And we're also going to be holding a public hearing on October 30th. We haven't decided on the location yet. We're looking at either the high school or the middle school.
Okay.
To have a public hearing on the project as well, so
Great.
even more opportunity for people to be heard and to express their concerns. So, you know, this isn't, you know, my feeling about this is that let's get it all out there. You know, let's eliminate the controversy, but have the opportunity for everyone to really speak and to have their issues addressed. So
I like it. Cuss and discuss it and move on.
and just one of the other reasons why I thought it was helpful to get Mary Beth on board is that she's working on some similar projects in Westwood.
Really?
Working on some building committees. They're looking to try and build a new police and fire
Yes.
complex.
I've sat on a public safety facility task force for over a year in Westwood, where because there's a huge development going on in Westwood University Station, the public safety needs have increased.
And that development has started back up again? And
Yes, the development is, you know, I'd say phase 1 is 80% of, you know, vertical steel right now, with some of the businesses moving in early March. Some of the big box stores opening, and some of the restaurants, lifestyle center, memory care unit. But we had a need we have sort of a strange shaped town where there are 2 fire stations and a police station, and
Yes.
we looked at 19 options and looked at Foxborough as a model for a combined public safety. And then it was determined that the 2 fire stations are going to be renovated in place, and the police station is going to be built very similar to what Town Hall in Foxborough is proposed. It's going to be built behind the existing police station for many of the same reasons: water problems, bad air quality, and you know, unusable basement in some ways. So a very similar situation. The police are going to be able to stay in
Interesting.
place, build in the parking lot. So it's been a really, really interesting process. And in fact, Westwood is going on November 17th to a special town meeting for soft costs for their project. So
timing is
the
everything.
timing was,
Yeah,
timing is very interesting.
And you have to, that's a little bit of a feather in the cap then, as far as getting something on the table for that as well, eh?
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
And it's interesting because in that case, they're using both models.
Right.
We're renovating and building new at the same time. And it's not that, you know, I think it's important that the public understand is that, you know, I've done several renovation projects over the years. Renovating is not an issue for me. It's to me, in this particular case, this is a case, is that the right thing to do? And is that the best value for the taxpayer dollar? And in this case, building new was actually the better approach.
Very impressive, very impressive. So with the upcoming town meeting on November 17th, this is going to be one of the 7 warrant articles. Town Hall new construction with a budget for an architectural design.
Yes.
And with that, we'll have Mary Beth Bernard and Bill Keegan will be up on stage and sharing all that information. There'll be a public hearing before that on October 30th.
That's correct.
At a time to be determined, at a place to be determined. Tune in to your Foxborough Reporter. Best dollar you'll ever spend.
That's right.
Mary Beth, it's been a pleasure having
Thank
you
you.
out here.
It's
And
been
been
wonderful.
so nice
Thank
meeting
you
you.
for the warm welcome.
Well, welcome to Foxborough. And Bill, welcome. I still
new.
say
I'm still
welcome you
new.
to Foxborough.
I'm still new.
So
I'm
we're going
still
to welcome
new.
you
That's
both. And I do hope you'll appear on the program again at some future point. And of course, you folks at home, thank you for tuning in with us here at Foxborough Central to learn a little bit more about our Town Hall project. And of course, in addition to this program, you can also tune in to the Town Manager Bill Keegan show. What is the name of that?
It's Ask Bill Keegan.
Ask Bill Keegan. And if you want to ask Bill Keegan a question, I know he loves your questions, they can do that by emailing him at
At it's at bkeegan@town.foxborough.ma.us.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join me. And thank you at home for taking the time to watch Foxborough Central as we talk about the good stuff that happens in Foxborough. Check out Foxborough Cable Access. You can log on at www.fcatv.org. Until next time, folks, have a great one, Foxborough.